Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Simply Biz Shift Your Gears webinar. My name is Nicci Stewart, and I'm very excited to have you here to join me today while we talk about creating a fabulous business through building great operations. So please pop into the chat and say hello, drop me a line, tell me where you're from. If you do have any questions, please make sure you put them in the questions section. Otherwise, they tend to get a little bit lost in the chat, and I don't want to miss out on anything. But for now, let's get going with how to build a fantastic company through great operations. So just to introduce myself, as I said, my name is Nicci Stewart. I've been running my own company for about 12 years now, or two companies, should I say. And what I've been focusing on specifically in the last few years is entrepreneurial growth. So I consult to a number of businesses around their operations to help them grow and earn more money. That's basically what I'm all about. So there are various things that I want to talk to you about today, but the most important one is the 5 most common operational mistakes that people make. And I wanted to couple this with the common mistakes, but also giving you solutions as to how you can avoid these or fix them if you are already in business. Of course, if you are starting out, these are things that you can do right from the word go. But these are generally across the board things that I've seen that people have done wrong along the way, and mistakes that they've made that have ended up costing them sometimes quite a lot of money or clients or good staff in various areas down the line. So the first one is not linking your operations to your strategy or your key objective. And the reason why this is important is because you need to make sure that your company is set up to achieve what you want to achieve. So the first step in avoiding this is making sure you actually know what you want to achieve in the next, let's say, 1 to 3 years. And are your operations set up to support this? So if you think about this logically, oh dear, okay, so apparently you can't hear me. So I'm going to go back and start again. Can everybody hear me now? Hi, Megan. Hi, Michaela. Can somebody just pop me? Ah, lovely. Okay, so you can hear me. Great. So let me get going again from the beginning, and then we can start off from scratch. So just to introduce myself, my name is Nicci Stewart, and I've been running my own company for about 12 years now. I initially started in the communication space, and about 4 years ago, I started working in the entrepreneurial development space. So I specifically consult to businesses that are growing around their operations, which is why they've asked me to sit in on this slot today. And it's really around building great operations that can spill into building a fantastic company to generate more revenue, create more jobs, earn more money, and make everybody happy. So what I'm going to cover today is really a combination of the most common mistakes that I've seen people make, but also how to fix those mistakes, or if you are just starting out, how to avoid them. So where we're going to start is not linking your operations to your strategy or your objective. And the first thing that you need to understand around this is, do you know what you actually want to achieve in the next 1 to 3 years? And I know this might sound a little bit weird that people actually go into businesses without objectives, but people do. Because a lot of the time we start businesses, we're in a rush, we're in a hurry, we don't have time to sit down and think, we just need to get things done, we need to start earning money quickly, and we don't really have a plan. So once you've got your plan in place, are your operations set up to support this? And what I mean by this is, if your goal is to earn 15 million Rand within your first year of being in business, can your operations feasibly achieve this? Do you have the right systems in place? Do you have the right IT infrastructure in place? If you're looking at going completely digital, are your systems being set up manually, or are your processes manual? So just thinking around what you want to achieve and how do you make sure that your objectives and your operations are all aligned and facing in the same direction, if I can put it that way. So the second big mistake that people make is investing money in all the wrong places. So what does this mean? Your customers place certain value on certain things, and you need to understand what this value is and make sure that your operations are creating that value. So if you are positioning yourself as being a handmade handbag operation, for argument's sake, your production is probably quite slow. It's slow, it's focused, it's specific. There are certain things that have to be in place. That's what your customers value. It's not a quick, fast pump through, get as many out as possible. If your customers value quantity, then you're looking for the quick spin, getting everything out fast and not necessarily focusing too much on the detail. And when you're setting up your operations, this is where you need to make sure you're spending money. So it's great that you've got a fantastic machine that can do things quickly. If your customers are looking for attention to detail and precision, that machine has become a waste of money. So understanding that alignment between where you invest your money within your operations and what your customers value. If you focused on service, quick turnaround time, getting things done digitally, focusing on automations, your IT infrastructure, the computers your people have access to, your internet connection, all of those kind of things become very important. So really understand what your customers value. And this is a very important part of understanding who exactly your customer segments are and what they do value. So you've really got to get to grips with understanding all of these things before you can start focusing on your operations. Then the third thing is ignoring growth and the complexities around this. A lot of the time when we set up operations, we don't necessarily set them up specifically for growth. So what happens in a year's time when all of a sudden your customer base has grown, or your operation, your physical, the amount you produce has grown? Can your operations sustain this? So you need to look at creating an operational system that can support an increase in numbers. And numbers can be various things. It can be the amount that you are producing. It can be the amount of people that you are employing. So if you're in a service industry, a lot of your operations are focused around people. And chances are if your business grows, you're going to have to add people into the mix. And I once worked for a company where it worked very well on a very low base internet connection and minimal software and all of that sort of thing when there were 2 people. But suddenly when the company grew and was now employing 14 people, the ADSL line that they had just wasn't strong enough to support 14 people. The fact that they didn't have proper software, people were working on laptops that were old and outdated because money hadn't been invested in this upfront. And it's easy to try and save money at the beginning and go, oh, but we don't have money for decent laptops and software licenses and that sort of thing right now. But when you're fixing something for 2 people, it's a lot cheaper than when you're fixing something for 14. And if you have to go back and now fix 14 laptops and a massive investment in internet connection and software, it becomes very, very complicated and difficult to do. And I can tell you nothing makes an employee more disgruntled than not having the right equipment to do their job. So always consider where do you aim to be and what happens if you grow? What happens if you suddenly get that massive order that will have to double your output? What will you need and how much money will that cost? Have you thought about this? Have you prepared for it? Have you planned for it? So there are all of these things that you need to take into consideration when you're thinking about your operations and what the underlying factors are that you need to consider. And I think that's what I'm trying to communicate to you today, is that Yes, there are operational issues, but your operations is that's actually your business. That's what's driving your revenue growth right now. So everything is a touch point within your operations. So the fourth mistake that I see people making quite often is hiring too fast, particularly in the beginning where you don't necessarily have proper recruitment policies and those kind of things set up. So you decide, and I know that this is going down an HR road, but HR does affect your operations, and it's something you need to be aware of. So you get into a flat panic and, oh, I need a production manager, or I need an account manager, I need an assistant, I need a bookkeeper, whatever the case may be. And you just throwing people at the problem, and you often end up employing the wrong people, the people that don't necessarily have the right kind of skills. Long term, they're not good enough. They're not the right kind of person for your business. They don't go through the right sort of assessments, so you don't know if they actually are suitable for your organization. And a lot of the time, I've actually seen people being employed that they don't even have a specific job description for that position. So slow down your hiring. Make sure you have a hard and fast recruitment policy that outlines how do you go about finding people? How do you go about making sure that they are the right people? Do you have an assessment system in place? What is your reference checking process? Because I can put anybody on my CV as a reference. How do you know that those references are legitimate, that what I'm saying is correct? Are you checking me out on LinkedIn, making sure that my LinkedIn profile is aligned with the CV that I'm sending you? So there are all these little things that if you get them right and get them in place up front, they will make your life a lot easier. And just, do you have a basic job description for this position? Because understanding the skills and the people that you need to achieve operational excellence will help make your hiring process a lot easier. And one of the biggest problems that I often get asked about in businesses is, how do I make sure I recruit the right people? It's a big issue. There are massive corporates that have this problem, and they have big HR departments and all of these kind of things, and sometimes they still get it wrong. So you can make sure you get as close to right as possible by slowing down your hiring decision and hire the right people. Don't think, oh, it's a low-level position, it doesn't matter. Because we've all heard the story of the receptionist who ended up growing into an account manager or an account director. And that kind of institutional knowledge can be invaluable to your business. So hire for the long term and hire slowly. Take your time, take a deep breath. And then the final mistake that people make, once it's sorted, and it will stay that way, because it won't. Your operations need regular evaluation. They need regular updating and fixing. So you're constantly going to be going back. Are people following their policies, the processes and the systems? Where are the potential bottlenecks? How can we potentially fix these bottlenecks? It's a constant process of updating, evaluating, relooking. Maybe there's some new software that's come onto the market that's going to revolutionize the way you do things, and will really change your approach and help you become a lot more streamlined and a lot more efficient. So you need to know about these things. You need to be aware, and you need to realize how these are going to apply within your business. And then get support, both internally and externally. I know this can be difficult initially when you start, but make sure that you've got somebody that you can bounce ideas off, that you can have these operational and strategic discussions with. Whether you might not be in a position to appoint a COO type role initially, but talk to a business coach, talk to a business partner, however your organization is structured. Get support from somebody, because it will help to have that person to bounce ideas off, to see things differently, to identify things that you might not be able to identify. Your business should always be striving for operational excellence. So what does this look like for you? So this is a very, very individual thing. And if you understand what my idea of operational excellence is, you can always strive to be achieving that. As I said, it might not necessarily be speed. It might be quality. It might be a focus and attention to detail and really, really slowing things down, but producing a beautiful product or delivering a fantastic service. And then always focus on driving customer value and satisfaction. Because remember, our businesses are not about us. Our businesses are about solving a problem. Understand what your customers value and what gives them satisfaction and focus on that. Okay, so we've got a question here from Renee. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. What do you think would be a good indicator that it is time to hire new staff? Renee, that's a great question. A good indicator, they're a combination of things. So you need to make sure that, firstly, you are in a financial position to handle this. But ideally, what you want to do is try and time your finances lining up with when is a good time to appoint somebody. So what I mean by this is, if you are potentially in a position where you're feeling completely overwhelmed and you don't know what's going on and you know there's more work coming in, that's a good time to start looking for somebody. When it reaches a point where you need to expand skills, so you've realized that your skill as a business owner or the skills that you currently have are not in line with, or are not 100% what your customer needs. So that's generally when you need to start looking for somebody. But it's realizing what you can afford and what skills you need, and also bringing in what else you can offer. So a lot of the time, small businesses complain about, oh, I can't afford the best people. But what else can you offer? I'm a small business. Maybe I've got better leave policies. Maybe I can offer flexible working hours, all of those kind of things. But it's really around when you're anticipating that you're reaching that point where you or your current staff are no longer going to cope. And what you need to try and do is anticipate that. So if you know you've got 5 big proposals out there and you're pretty sure one of them is going to come in, that's a good time to start looking. Because if your sales cycle works generally on 2 months, if I know my proposals go out, let's just say for argument's sake, they're all out in February, I'm working towards getting those proposals in by April. If I start looking in about March, I can appoint somebody slowly. I can take my time. I can evaluate those skills. I can offer them the position about sort of mid-March. So they give a month's notice. Let's assume they're able to start in April. Okay, I hope that answers your question. Janet's asking, how do you balance penny wise and pound foolish mistake when you don't have enough money? Sure, that's a tricky one. My advice around that would be understanding what is crucial to your business. What is the most important thing that you need? So, for instance, I am a consultant. The most important thing in my life is my laptop and my internet connection. So those are things that I cannot spare expense on. As a consultant, I don't need the best, most expensive laptop. I need something that works and works well. I'm not a designer. So I can compromise on buying a top-of-the-range laptop. I cannot compromise on my internet connection, especially at the moment, because, as we know, we're all working from home. I need to have a good internet connection to connect with people. So it's looking at what is the most important thing that you need to function and where you can potentially save money. So, for instance, I can save a lot of money on something like office space. I'm more than capable of working from home. I mean, we're all working from home at the moment, or most of us are anyway. I don't need office space. It's a luxury. It's a nice to have for me. If I do need a boardroom, I can go and hire that once off. So those are places where I know personally I can save money. So really, really look at what do you need to function optimally. And that's where you spend your money, and look at what's around that and potentially go, okay, well, these are areas that where we can save money. And that's where you spend your pounds and not your pennies. Okay, so does anybody else have any other questions? Okay, Monique. So are there basics I must have in place to get you out of the starting block? Yes, there are. So I think the most important thing, Monique, to get yourself out of the starting block is I would look at really starting with, as I said up front, what is your objective? What is your plan? What do you want to achieve in the next, even if you very short term, you look at the next 6 months. What do you want to achieve in the next 6 months, and what is going to get you up and running on that? So that's really, I would focus on getting that plan in place and getting those objectives sorted out so that you know at the very, very least where you're heading, and then start looking at things like your basic business model. If you're interested, you're welcome to get in touch with me and I can send you some information around that. There is some really great information in the Shifting Gears, on the Shifting Gears program. But those will be the basics. You need to start with a goal and align everything back around that. So then the proverbial, I don't have time. We all love this one. So my opinion on that is you don't have time for operations, you make time for operations. Even when you are Adrian Gore, who is the CEO of Discovery, he might not be involved in the operations, but believe me, he has somebody who reports to him regularly around this, and he knows exactly what's going on. Because while strategy and growth and all those long-term plans, they are very necessary and very nice to have. Well, they're not nice to have, they're very necessary. You need to have them. Operations is what brings in the money. It's what drives your business. It's what keeps you going. It's what pays your salary. So you have to make time for them. And even when you are in a position where you have a team that is supporting you, you're going to be checking up regularly with that team to make sure that things are ticking over properly, because there is nothing as valuable as your current client base, and your operations is what supports that current client base. So you need to prioritize that. And then my secret tech stack that I use in my own business and with a lot of my clients. So I mean, obviously I'm a service-based business, but these will work in most small businesses. So in terms of CRM systems, I personally use Asana. I find it very user-friendly. It's got great free functionality, which is one of the most important things for me when I was starting out. So getting back to Janet's question, penny wise and pound foolish, Asana is a very functional free system that I can use, and it's the free version is perfect for my business at this stage. It can grow with you, so can a system like Trello. So if you do get to a point where you need to upgrade, you can always move on to the paid for version. And then I have also used Monday.com. I'm not sure if there is a free version of Monday, but it is a very good one. Timekeeping. This is a very, very important aspect of managing your business and your operations. It's as much as we all hate our timesheets, they're very necessary to see where you are spending your time. And I find Toggle is a fantastic system. It's also free. It integrates very nicely with Asana, by the way, which is also very handy, but it's got a lot of functionality, and you can put quite a few team members and clients on there. It gives you great reporting, so you can keep an eye on how people are spending their time. Sales CRM, crucial to keep up to date with your sales and know exactly where you are in terms of your leads, understand what metrics you need, how many leads you need to generate to actually get a deal, to get meetings, to go through that whole sales funnel. I use HubSpot, also got some fantastic free functionality. Pipedrive is also a great system, but that is paid for. Streak, pretty good, but a very, very basic system. Personally, I prefer HubSpot. And then to manage my mailing list, I use ConvertKit, which is a fantastic automated email system. So where you can set up landing pages. If people click on links, download your value adds, they will automatically be added to your mailing list. You can send out mail broadcasts from there. You can set up email automations. Fantastic system. It does cost about, I think it's about 500 Rand a month. Up until you have about 2,000 subscribers, if I'm not mistaken. But I really found ConvertKit worth spending the money on. From the amount of time that I'm spending sending out emails, the 500 Rand a month is really worth it. And there's also MailChimp, which does have quite a lot of free functionality as well. For storage and collaboration, Dropbox and G Drive, Google Drive. I use a Google base for everything, my email, my calendar, obviously G Drive. I use Google Docs a lot, which make, especially when I'm working on documents with other people, pitch decks, all of those kind of things, very handy. And I know G Drive does give you quite a lot of storage space for not much, for free. Dropbox is a little bit limited, but it is good if you're just sharing files quickly across with different people. Online meetings, we're all having online meetings at the moment. My go-to places are generally Zoom and Google Meet. And the reason why I like them both so much is that they've got really, their apps work really well on your phone, because not a lot of online meeting places or meeting apps have got good mobile access. And with load shedding, with dodgy internet, with potentially being out of the office or getting stuck somewhere when you've got a call, they're very, very handy. I've done Zoom meetings in my car, so they're great from that perspective. And for quick communications, my go-to places are WhatsApp and Slack. WhatsApp is great just for chatting, but I find Slack has got a lot more functionality when it comes to team chats. You can categorize different things. If you're working on a bigger project together, it's great for sharing files. You can set up a Slack channel. There's a desktop version as well. And Slack is also, well, both WhatsApp and Slack are free. I know there is a paid for Slack version, but I've never had to use it. So those are the tech stacks that I use in my business, and I found them to be incredibly useful. So I think that's it from me. Does anybody have any further questions, or is there anything else that you want to ask, or anything else you want to know from me that I can share with you? If you are on this call, or if you are part of Simply Biz, I am giving away a free 30-minute session. So please just click the link in this deck will be shared with you. Please set up a session. This is completely free, and we can run through some problems. And so you're welcome to give me a shout. If you need to reach me, you can find me on these social media handles. But please also follow Simply Biz so you can keep up to date with all these webinars. I am going to be on again in August. So if you are keen to see me again, which would be wonderful, please do keep up to date with that. So Janet has just asked, if you were to start again, what one thing would you not repeat? Oh, Janet, I don't even know where to begin. I think the one thing that I would not do if I were to start my business all over again is avoid sales. I know this is not necessarily a session that's focused on sales, but it is something that needs to become a part of everything that you do. It needs to become a key part of your systems and your processes, and within your operational setup, you need to have allowance for sales and growth, because it's something that I avoided. I relied on word of mouth. I relied on referrals. I didn't necessarily actively become a part of the new business development, and it certainly wasn't a part of my core business and my core operations. And it did end up burning me. And I think the other key thing that I would not repeat is thinking that I'm alone in all of this. When I started my first business in 2008, I was completely clueless. I didn't know where to turn. I didn't know where to go. I ended up running my business completely into the ground and was stuck and didn't know what I was doing wrong. And I just didn't turn to anybody for help. And I was completely ignorant about what help was available out there for me. But I have subsequently learned that there are people out there. I mean, you guys obviously know about them, given that you're sitting on this webinar, but reach out for help. There are loads of people who are able to help you. There are programs that are able to help you. So don't sit there and struggle alone. There is support. There is support out there. So go and get it and get advice and get the help that you need. So are there any other questions that anybody wants to ask? Sorry, Jenny's just asked, do you use the cloud for operating systems? Jenny, I use cloud for pretty much everything. Most of my systems are cloud-based. My accounting system, as I said, my CRM system. So pretty much everything I use is in the cloud. And the reason why I have chosen to do that is because as a consultant, if something does happen to my laptop and it gets stolen tomorrow, I need to be able to keep operating. And because all of my systems are in the cloud, it literally means that I can pick up any computer tomorrow and I can hit the ground running. So I know there are certain risks with cloud around security and passwords and that kind of thing. I'm meticulous about my password protection and what passwords I use for what, but pretty much my entire business is on the cloud. So I hope that answers your question. Terence, thank you very much. It's been great having you. So are there any other questions that anybody wants to ask? Okay, great. Well, if you do have any other questions, please feel free to pop me an email or pop me a WhatsApp. Get in touch with me and I will happily respond to your questions. But I'm really glad you enjoyed this, and I'm really grateful that you took your time to come and listen to me. I hope it was useful. And as I said, please follow Simply Biz on social media. They're on Facebook, they are on LinkedIn, they are on Instagram, and they do regularly run these sessions. They've got loads of other useful stuff. So share it with your friends, pass it on to everybody you know, and let's get some more people on these calls. And thank you very much for all your kind words. It's been wonderful being here. And yeah, I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day, and I hope to see you soon at my next webinar. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.